Hey, Fitzy here, back at it again with another one. Look what I got. What would you call that? You call them rust? I call them templates. Stick around. Well, it's another week. We're getting started again on doing some more work on the VIC100. I run into some things that had to be done. This was our long weekend here, 3-day weekend. Today is now Tuesday. I had a honey-do list that I had to attend to, so I never got no time the weekend to spend at the truck itself. I was hoping to get some work on this inner fender well over here and get this done, but it never happened. Today's Tuesday now. I need to get a video done to get out to you guys. So what we're going to get into here today will not be this inner fender well. I'm going to pick and poke in this when I can. It's much the same as what I did to the other side, but I want to move ahead on this and do something else. Something that none of you guys have been asking about, so let's get started. In the last video, we made this all up. We installed this inner fender well. We made braces. We cleaned up the mounting points and everything for the actual hinges. A lot of guys talked about heating this section up. You do have a lip here to deal with, and I think it was a lot of work because I don't know if that's going to stay there. I may have to raise this all the way up yet, this hinge all the way up, and I wouldn't even need a hole there anyway. I'm not concerned about this here getting a little bit of splash of water. There's a hole there, right? All this in here is all opened up. It's not like, these are called splash aprons. They're not they're designed to keep every drop of water out of the engine bay. It'd be nice if I had something done with that there. Yes, I might do something with it. I don't know. If I had a little rubber flap like this, I can put over it if I gets it. But I'm not going to do nothing with that until I actually gets the hinges figured out where they got to go on the hood itself. But I think the heating process would have been tricky because it had to stay the perfect height out here. Like if you heated this up and pushed down, the whole thing is just going to fall all different ways. And you'd almost have to have like make up a jig to put on the bottom side of it to keep it from moving, and then have a top piece that you can heat up and drop down into it. It was a lot of work. Like this is a beater. Like getting carried away with some of the plans. Like yes, there's always a cooler or better way to do this, but it's not faster. You're going to spend a lot of time at this stuff. Like I see a lot of guys talking about the perfection way of doing something, but they don't realize that takes time. If you took 100 items and spent 4 hours on, on each individual piece, that's just a little detail like this here. You're talking over 400 hours just spent on detail work. And, people don't realize that when you're trying to put together a rig like this here, to beat around in and stuff like that, the little details is what's going to eat up your hours. But, so what I got done there is perfect for me. Anyway, so next on the agenda, I was going to do the other inner fender well. I'm not going to worry about that right now. It's more the same with this one here. Up here in the front now, I got that valance that got to go in the front here. It mounts to the fender there, and I got to put the other fender on, and it mounts to the fender over here. But before I go at that, I got to repair the actual panel itself. Here's this lovely panel. All this down here. All full of holes. Comes across here. There's holes here. And what I'm noticing, there's holes there. There's holes there. There's holes there. And then this side is completely gone as well. Now this here, I was going to try to eliminate it. But the way the bumper fits on the front of this, I can probably tuck it back a small bit. But all this plays a part in it. You could see all this section here and all this section along here. You can see all this pretty well. So I'm going to have to clean it up and I'm going to have to repair it. Some are going to say, Tony, why don't you just buy a new panel? Right here, you can see what this is going to cost me starting off. And this is what, stay with me at this here. This panel is like $175 US. It's going to be about $240 for me, converting it over to Canadian. Now, they want $160 to ship it. So it's over $400 right then and there. Now, when that shows up here in Canada, there's going to be a duties fees, which is probably going to be another $100 on top of that. So this panel here will cost me no less than $500. And you guys can buy them for 175 bucks. There's a lot of guys have been asking me about taillights and saying this place got them and that place got them and they're only this much and, you know, $39 and stuff like that. The taillight issue with me is a big problem because it costs more to ship the taillights than it is the value of the actual taillight. And I can never understand that. Same with this here. This is 175 bucks US. It's $160 Canadian for me to ship it. This is why a lot of us up here, we end up repairing a lot of this stuff. We don't justify it. So you think about a $175 part, it's pretty well double, almost triple the price. Yes, triple the price of what it is. So for us to build a truck like this here, and just say now we're going to buy new fenders, new doors, all that type of stuff, would you tell me that there's a truck around like that that's going to be worth, say, if you Americans could build this truck here with new panels for 20,000 bucks, it's going to cost us $60,000. And that's no word of a lie. That's the way this stuff is up here for us to go buying all these panels and doing all this type of stuff. It's absolutely crazy. It doesn't justify the vehicle. That vehicle is still only worth 20 grand. All right? If we put it in the US market, it's not worth 60,000 bucks. The part racket here in Canada is just crazy because everything that we get comes from the US. If it's made of steel, we're probably going to get a new duty put on top of it now. So, you know, these items are extremely expensive. So what do? We go back old school and we repair them. So now, this thing here is pretty thin in spots. I cannot find a better one. These were known to rot. Like, I've looked at a few of these, like, and they're not even non-existent on trucks that are in the woods. These sections right here, if you flip it over, everywhere there's a brace, there's rust on the top side of it. These braces here were supposed to bolt to the lower valance right here. There was a piece came down here and tipped out, and they were supposed to bolt to that going along there. I'm going to design my own setup. Whatever I'm going to do with there is not going to be elaborate or fancy. I'm just going to build something that can bolt to. The outer sections bolts on here, right here and here. I think it is. No, it's just these two bolts here. Bolts onto. And then, yeah, and there's a bolt that bolts there. That's this one here. We got these two bolts. And then we got this bolt here. So there's the 3 bolts there for that. So I got that to go by on both sides. And other than that, everything in the middle here, I'm going to have to make something up. But first thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to get this here panel set up so I can start doing some repairs on it. I'm going to have to cut these pieces off here and reinstall them later. And I'm going to have to build the entire end panels here. I got a kink right here that if I flip this over, this just automatically bends here. Just like this is extremely weak right here. I got to try to work this, bend this up, and make this solid here again. And I'm going to clean it up to see what I'm up against. I'm going to try to leave it all together for now. I'm going to try to build the parts the way this is here now before I go cutting it up. Because I need templates, and there's my templates. Oh, that's my template there. So I'm going to go ahead now and dolly this section right here. See if I can get some strength in this here and weld this tab. Because I can't flip this over. I gotta support this way. You can see that when I pick it up, it just wants to bend. Look. So I'm gonna have to tidy this up here. I might just cut it off and re-weld it on there. Weld it right through there again and dolly it up to give it some strength. So I went ahead and I dollied up these sections here. Got the edges of them nice and sharp and bent back again. I got this one here to hold its own again. This is the one that I was worried about. It was getting really weak through here. I'm probably gonna have to weld through. There's actual holes there in amongst that. I'll probably run a bead across that just to give it some strength again. I might even put something behind it. I don't know. I'm not too concerned about it, granted, because this thing is shot. So whatever it does with this here is going to be 100% better than what it is. Over here, this is what I'm up against here now. I got to make this section here. I got this picture here to go by. And this comes flat across here. This piece here comes across here and then fades out to here to this point. And then this one here widens up and comes across here to the front, goes across here. And then we got this lip that goes around here. Then there's one on the bottom side, and then there's one on the back right here as well. So you can sit down now and start taking a flat piece of metal and start putting all the bends and everything in it. Oh, no, no, no. I'm not doing this. I I always find that to get the shapes right and make it simple, and you haven't got all them tools, it's just a matter of making individual pieces, weld them all together, grind them, dress them, and make them all one piece. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to start building these sections right here. I'm just going to take some, I'm going to make all this out of 18 gauge also. I'm not going to bother with the Crown Vic stuff, it's too thin. I want to be able to work this and get this straightened away. I'm going to build this section right here. I'm going to draw something up there, figure something out, and use this here as my template. I'm not going to disturb none of this right now. I don't want to go grind nothing up. I'm just going to start building this section here. I'm going to build that section there. I'm going to make 2 of them. I'm going to build this section here. I'm going to make 2 of them. And do the same thing, so on, so on. So that way I got one for this side and one for that side, so 2 of them are the same. And then I'm just going to build a left and a right. This down here will be totally different again. That'll be another thing. All I'm concerned about right now is getting this section built up here. So I'm going to turn around, and I figure I'm going to probably come back to here somewhere. I do have a lot of rust blisters and everything on, so I'm going to get pretty crude on some of this here. I only want this structurally sound, but these end pieces got to be done. And I was going to eliminate the bumper altogether, but I want these on this car, on this truck, and I'm just not going to worry about it. I was going to move the bumper back, all that type of stuff. I'm not going to get into it because it's, and like some might say, well, why don't you just build a new valance? It'll look like a piece of sheet metal screwed onto the front of it, and I don't like the look of it. I love these shapes here, all these little details. This is the stuff that I love, and I love to try to duplicate all that there. Just making a flat piece to come out with a 90 on it and jam on the front of it and Bob's your uncle? No, that's not me. Same with this side piece here. So we're going to duplicate this entire corner here now. I'm going to dig out some steel and start building these sections here. So here's the first piece I cut out. Never used no fancy tools, a couple of grinders, and the air grinder with the 24 on it. I don't use tin snips for nothing. I cut everything with a cutting wheel. It just makes life faster. So here's your first piece. That will go there like so. You can see the curvature back here, the way this comes back across here, up in this corner here. You can actually barely see the line going along here where the actual piece goes across. This is the reason why I leave all my rusty metal alone, because I can always use it to actually shape everything up. But I actually made it so that it actually lined up back here on the back side as well, the right width coming across there. So just come across and go across this way here. Now down here, there's a little kink in it, right here. And I'm looking at the picture, and it seems like it only goes back about 1 inch. So I'll mark that later and kink it. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to make a second one of these. I cuts it out. Then I puts it with the other one. I clamp it in, the vise. And I'll move it around and shape it so it's the same. And then I got 2. So I got 2 of them made up now. So that's the first 2 pieces I got to make. I'll go on and start making the second piece, which is coming along here. I'm sizing up the second piece that goes on the front of this here, and it looks like it's going to be a piece that I'm going to actually just weld a bolt piece on and trim it off. Before I go do anything with that, I got to clean this up. But I also need to put a dimple in this here. Step down. This is all I done when I clamped it in the vise, and I hammered that right there like so. Old masonry hammer, and I just hit it with another hammer. And I went and put the little kink in it, as you can see, with a little step, and it just fades out of that corner. You can see it right here. And I hold this like that, over the edge of that here, if I can ever do it. That's the way the lip goes, like so. So now that I got that done, I'm going to clean this up and start prepping for the next piece. Now, when I'm building these shapes like this, I don't overthink stuff because, you know, a lot of people will turn around and say, let's build a template for that. The shape, the easiest way to describe this piece here now that's going to be made here, this is what this is going to be shaped like. This is going to be a piece of metal that's going to be shaped like that, more or less. Just roughly, that's the way it'll have to be shaped when it's all said and done. Then it got to be laid on an angle. It can get complicated. I got nothing there to actually make a template from, in terms around to make it from, and you're going to get pretty complicated. I'll just start with a flat piece of steel. Now, I should have started off with a wider piece. I know that now. I went over and made a little template of the roll-off, and this is the angle that it got to be on from the first piece, this piece here, that goes down to this piece. This is the piece that I'm making now. So I'm going to use this here, lay this on an angle here, and that's how I'm going to weld this on. I'm going to put this in here. This don't go in this way. It goes in on an angle. And you can see over on this end here is too short. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'll start thinking about it. So I'll just put a piece in over there. That's fine. But this is the angle I got to have it on to go around the corner. So I'm not going to overthink it. I'm more concerned about getting the angle right and getting the flow around the corner. And then I can figure the rest out later. So I'll go ahead now and I'll get this laid in place and get this tacked up. And I can trim it all off. Don't worry about none of this excess up here. I'm just going to take what I can. I got this moved down as far as I can so I can take up as much as I can up here. So I'm just going to bring it up far enough that I got a little bit down here I can trim off later. But I'm just going to go ahead, get the angle here, weld that on. Don't that look lovely? Look. Now, it would have been better off if I had to start off with a nice wide piece here. I could have came up here, could have made this all in one piece, but I'm looking at the whole point. Oh, I had the piece there. I'm not going to cut out another big piece just to do this a second time. All I'll do is I'll put a small piece in there and weld it on. And you can see I got the angle there now. I'll come over here and I'll trim this off here. Now, and then what I got to do, I got to get this here so this lays flat like this here, and this comes around this corner here. That's what I'm going to work on next. So I'll get this trimmed up. I'm not going to weld it all up yet. I'm going to get it all pieced together first, so I'm happy with it. And once I get it all done, I'll start welding everything together. So this is what I got done up. You see me weld a little piece on the end there. The right angle that is on. After going over it a few times now with my little template, which has disappeared. Oh, there it is. I've after double checking that everything with the template, making sure everything is good going along there. Okay, and what I've got done here is I got it so that when I lay it flat on the bench, the top is parallel and this here is all laying flat down along here. And that's my angle. Now you can just see the angle that this is on. Now I also rolled the lip on it because I was overlooking at the panel, and you can see there's a little rolled edge that goes straight down right at the end of it, but then it fades out to nothing on the sides. I'll show you over here. You can see right here, this goes over and then it drops down a little tiny bit here and then it goes over. You can barely see it over here. It just fades out. It's gone away to nothing, but over here in the end there's nothing. It just goes away to nothing. So this is what I'm up against here now. It's the reason why I like leaving all this stuff as it is. I can use it as my template. So I got this piece now figured out. This is the top piece there. That's going to go along there. Now the next piece I got to make is this bottom one right here. Like you can try to bend all this stuff up, but you can look at the shape this is in now. The angle that is around there. To try to make up a piece of metal, that shape, to go along there. I never overcomplicated it. Never try to make, because you got to deal with that angle, and to try to make that piece on a flat piece of steel with a template. Now I never had nothing to go by. I just knew I had this angle I had to go by, and I knew that it went around the corner. So I made up a little thing like this here, so I made sure my metal stayed on the angle like this here. So I just rolled a piece of steel and then twisted it till I got that angle, and that's what you saw me doing with the piece of metal when it was like this here, and welding it on the flat piece of steel. And I just kept working this side over here to make sure that this angle was right all the way around the corner. And then I just added a piece because the piece I cut out wasn't big enough. I'll weld all that up and that'll be all brand new. So now I'm going to go out now and find another piece that I can put here that I can weld on. The same process. This is what I'm doing here. Not overthinking this. I got this old piece of steel here. And I got this laid up tight to the corner here and down here. What I'm after is this distance out here. I want to have about 1.5 inches out here, all the way along here, and all the way along. This will fade out. I'm not worried about that right now. I just want to have something that I can weld to along here, and then I can start trimming this up out here the way it's supposed to look. Because I think this comes out here and turns on a 90, and it fades out. Does this type of thing, right? And then comes across here. So I got to make sure that this corner here, I have enough in this corner to actually make my corner piece that I need to make. I didn't like the way it felt down here. I'd assume have too much here, not enough. So I went and got another piece of steel. And now I'm just turning around trying to figure out the spot where I'm going to put this here. So I can actually mark it. And then I can actually just cut out a piece of this here. I'm not going to be too much worried about it. Clean it up. And then I can actually weld it on. And I'll start trimming this up to fit what I need to do over there. I'm not going to worry about making templates. Trying to make a piece that fits there perfect. It's the right width and the right shape. All I'm looking at now is to get a piece of metal I can lay flat on here. I can weld on here. I have lots of material here, lots of material here, and lots of material here that I can actually start trimming it to fit. Again, nothing fancy. I'm using this here being flat here, this here being flat here. When you look across two of them, it's flat on the table that way there, and that's where I'll just set it out. Look at the back side of it. Just a big old chunk of steel. Don't worry about making it perfect. I just wanted to make sure I had enough material out here that I can shape this here to the way it's got to be. This is all scrap steel I got kicking around underneath the bench. This is all I've been picking out. Just old scrap stuff I got kicking around here. So I'm going to turn around, I got that done. I'm going to go in here now, trim this out of my way and get this dressed up so that I can actually start fitting it over there and start figuring out the shape that got to be out here. So I'm here and I got that tack welded on. Then I've been going back and forth here, trimming it up. Now I'm not going to try to make a perfect one cut. I've been snipping it back as I'm going. You can see I'm just doing it all with the grinder. There's nothing elaborate about that. I marked it on the back side and I've still got the line left there and I just chopped it off. So now I can go back and forth and I'll just start trimming this up. So I'm happy with it. I know over here on this end here, this here flows off. It goes on a bit of an angle here. This don't go like that angle there. It goes on, turns down a small bit. So I got to play with that there. But everything else, and I do have a bit of a taper down on the front here, going along the front. So I went and tapped that down. But I'm happy. I trimmed it up on the inside here and grinded all this off in here. So I can actually got some way that I can actually go over and lay it over the top of the other one now and start trimming this down. So I come over here and I got to clamp down in a bunch of places. Wanted to see what this flow here was like, right here, the distance out here. Want to make sure that I was on the back side over here. Coming around, the shape is there. You can see the original one. The back panel is there. You can see that lip there now, where that steps down. Going across, you can see the way the end of it's got a shape. It just goes straight off on this end. So I can cut that there and straighten that up. But you can see now I've got to trim this back. Flip this over. Got to trim this down now. So it fits like that there. All the way around. And I'll get this all trimmed up now, so I'm happy with it. So I'm here now and I got to clamp down to the original panel. And I've managed to get enough pieces onto that clamp onto. What I'm going to do here now, I'm going to use this as a guide. I'm going to take the grinder now and start grinding this off till I get all this here to be even going down through here. All this section here, I'll just use the grinder, just keep grinding till it comes back and I start touching that. I know I'm gone far enough then. And that way I'll get a perfect shape of what that's supposed to be. So here's what I got done. All this here, I grinded this down till I hit the actual side there, and I got that all very nice and shaped there now. So when you look at across it, it looks original. I went out, went through my strips, I found some stuff here, and then I'm going to weld onto there now, and just going to weld around that shape there. I'm not going to get too carried away with it. That looks pretty straight down there. Probably use a straight edge on that. Yeah. I'll get that cleaned up, and then I'll just start welding that onto here, working my way around the side here. Even a bit extra, not worried about the width right now. I just want to get the lip welded on it. And that way I got that there section all glued up. Then I can just go ahead and weld all that up. I still got to put a bottom in it. Right here is a piece here for this to weld onto. And I got to put it back on it. So this here can be welded onto the actual truck itself. Or bolted onto the truck itself. So, but first of all, I'll get this one put on. Simple as that. You can actually see the shape of it there now, the way it all comes together. What I'll do now is I'll go in here and I'll weld all this up here. I'll weld this across here. I'll flip it over. I'll weld it in here, weld it here, weld it here. And that will give me lots of meat there. And then I'll come out here and I'll grind and dress all this here and have all this look like one piece. You can see the way this fades out over here and pretty well goes to the shape out here. I'll eyeball that up. I got a little dimple in it here. I still got to put a piece back here, and when you flips this over and I trims off this section here, there's another plating system that goes here for the other piece to mount to as well. But let's finish this one off first, and I'll get that all grinded up. Now don't that look absolutely beautiful? Look at them lovely welds. How gorgeous they are. Rolling nickels. I'm never concerned about my welds. I'm going to be grinding it anyway. I like the hot weld, and sometimes my welder's not set up right. As long as I'm welding good, Like that there would have been nicer if it was laid flat more, but no, I'm not concerned about it. I got the inside of it welded too, so. What I'm going to do out here now is I'm just going to take a 24 and a grinding stone and shape that up. I'll use the grinding stone on the inside corners right here and clean it up with that, and all the outside ones, I'll grind it flat here, 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 and then I'll round up my edges going around that way there. So I won't do nothing with this in here. This will stay just like it is. All my work will be out here. So I'm going to go ahead now and grind all this up, see what it comes up with. All that grinding was done with that grinder and that grinder. Nothing else. No fancy tools. Just these old 24s. I cut them down, all different sizes, kicking around here. Cuts them down different sizes and grinds them up. I uses the stone on the inside edge here and then dresses it up with that. That's the extent of it. Got the little roll edge put on it. I'll grind this flat here and I grind this flat here and then I roll my edge here. I do that there so you can get a nice crisp line going around here. And that crisp line is what makes sure that your line is not crooked going around here. So when you rolls it over, you got a nice flow to it. Same with this one down here. You look at how nice that looks going around that corner. Looking down at it there. There you go. Now I got to trim this off here. I got to narrow this up and trim this up the width. Back here, I got to tidy this up. I got to cap it here. And I got to cap it here on the bottom side to put the next piece on it. And that panel there is pretty well ready to go. I'll go ahead now and get this all trimmed up and tidied up and finished up. So I got everything trimmed up and sized up, and what I was doing here now lately, what I got to do here next is I got to weld a piece on the back of this here. Now, I wanted to figure out the distance from here to here on the truck itself, this distance from here to here, and I wanted to take the thickness of the metal off of this here. I don't want to try to get something to poke up underneath this here. I just want to take a piece of metal, lay it flat on that there, and weld it right on there like that. So that way the thickness of the metal right here will make up the difference of what it's supposed to be. I played around with trying to figure out the parallel, making sure it's parallel to it, all that type of stuff. And I got a measurement from right here, right from the very tip of this here, coming up across this here, I got 5 3/8 of an inch to that outer edge. So I'm a little bit short of 3/8 of an inch, which is basically the thickness of this metal. So when I butch this up against this here, from here all the way up to the outside of the metal will be 5 3/8 of an inch. That'll give me my distance there. Wondering if this is shaped right or not. This is where it belongs to on the truck right here. That's where that has to go. Just like that. And it fits best kind. So I'm just gonna, I got a piece of steel there, just gonna lay that there like that. And I'm gonna weld that on and dress that up the same way I did these pieces here. And then that will give me the spot on the back where I can drill a hole in this here and bolt it on. I got the tab put on, and I got it clamped in place with a pair of vice grips. And I went on the back side here, and I marked there's a hole there. I marked that with a marker. And I'm going to drill it out then. That way that there can bolt onto there. And that'll be that piece done. Now some of these tabs gets pretty fancy on these rigs. On this one here, it came across, came up, but then it was just like 1/4 of an inch down here. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to leave the hole works to that there. All that. And there's the spot where the hole goes. I'll just drill a hole there now. And I can probably put a clip on that, put a bolt in it, and that's where that'll bolt up. See, originally it was just a little piece came over and it came up there and it was trimmed off and stuff like that. Oh, I just got it going straight across and down. That's perfect. So I pretty well got this one all done. All I got left to do now is I got to put a piece in along here for the other piece to mount to. But before I go and do that, I'm going to build the other side, which is this one here. And I'm going to go ahead, not going to bore you with that because it's the same process as this one here, just for the other side. So I'll go ahead and get that one built. And when we come back, I'll have 2 of them ready so I can actually start building the bottom section. There you have it. This here took me about an hour and a half to make. I had this one here to go by. I figures this one here took me probably about 3 hours to get figured out, and doing video and all that type of stuff took me about 3 hours to do. This one here was an hour and a half. That's everything. That's welding it all up, grinding it all up, dressing it, putting the piece on the back, lining up the hole, get the two of them there. But now I got a left and a right. I wanted to do it this way here because I could use this one here to get my measurements off of. I used this one here to get my depths. Like when you put these back to back this way here and stand them up, they line up, see? You stand them up this way here and they line up. Right, that's the way I wanted to get this done. I wanted to have this so this is pretty on that. You're never going to notice it when you put it on the vehicle because they're going to be on one side of the vehicle to the other. But still in all, when they're this close together and you can get them looking that good, perfect. Now that I got two of them made, I got one more piece that I got to put in down here on both of these. I'm going to go ahead and install two of them on this piece here, and then they will be done. There you have it. Same process. I just laid it on a flat piece of steel, welded it on, trimmed it off, cut it up, welded it up. This one here now is hard. You can't weld it on the inside, so I had to put a lot of heat in the edge of it here to weld it up. This is just a mounting flange for the lower section to mount to later on. I just wanted to have it so it was there. Now are they the same? One's a little bit wider than the other. You won't see that going 40 mile an hour on a horseback, for sure. But yeah, two of them are done. So I have the two outer sections done. Now I need to go over and start cleaning up that thing. I'm going to take a measurement. Some say here, come into a point here, put a mark on it, measure it so that I know where this outer corner should be, where I think it should be. Probably I'll take it to this here. That's what I end up doing on both sides. And then I'm just going to cut this off. There's where roughly we're supposed to be. I'm just going to chop this off here so I can lay it aside for now. I'll do the same with the other side over here. And then what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take this here and get this all cleaned up and find out what holes are in it. Get these brackets figured out, what I'm going to do with these. Because that bracket's good, that bracket's good, that one's good, this is bad. So I might incorporate these back into it again, these brackets. Because they're there, I might as well use them. So I'll go ahead now and get this here all marked out and figured out. And start cleaning that up. So I got the ends cut off it on either side, and I cleaned it up. Whoo, this thing is thin. Over here, when you gets into it, you can see all the holes in it. Then you get here in the middle. See all that across there is pretty bad. And over here, same thing. Wherever one of them braces are to, she rusted out. On the back side there. Now, if you even look at it back here, you can see how pitted up it is. And how rusty this is. But I can tell you people, like, you know, how far do I want to go? And I'm just more, I want something that just looks like it belongs there. I think this is going to get an overlap patch over here. And I think it's only going to be tacked on. I don't think I'm going to get carried away with it. Because I start solid welding this here, I'm going to be burning holes in it everywhere. I know as I am. Same with here. But I got to put a strip the full length of this here. And roll down over this edge here. It's not bad. Coming up here and roll over the edge there. Put a piece right across there. And over here, this one here, she's bad down along here. Going out on the edge here, going up along here. Right? It is what it is. Okay? It's what I have to work with. The quickest fix for this is the fiberglass, all this. Short strand fiberglass, put over all the top of that there, and be done with it. Because you can only save something so often. But I'm going to go back to the earlier stages of patchwork. I'm going to show you how I did my Chevette. That was a long time ago. That's back in the mid-90s, that was. And it's how I done patchwork. Before, it's like I never solid welded everything. I just tack welded it on and grinded it off, fiberglassed it, done. But you know, this here, I can't go spend a lot of time on this. By rights, I need a new one, and like I said, it's going to be $600, $700, $800 by the time I get it here. And I've have to realize now that that panel that I showed you earlier does not come with this piece here. Now, I'm not going to get fussy with this because this piece here got a curved edge on the bottom. I got to see how far the bumper will cover it, because I might just make a flat piece to go in around that, so when the bumper's bolted on, you don't, like, I don't even think you see it down here, this corner here. I can get foolish with it and start bending it up, and you never know, I might play with it some more, but still no, that's welded onto that there. But apparently the piece that I was looking at is only this upper section right here. And that's $1,700 for me to land that. I haven't got that into the whole truck yet. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie, because I got the windshield bought for it now. Windshield was like $400 something. So yeah, I'm into it. I'd say, I think now, I haven't done an update on the price on everything yet, but roughly I figured $900 so far, because the windshield and the door rubbers were they're $800. Oh my. And he wonders why I tries to do everything else for nothing. Anyway, I'm just going to get some of the Crown Vic metal here now. And I don't even know if I'm going to cut this out. I might just overlap that there now. Come over here with a piece and tack weld it on. And be done with it. That's what I might end up doing with that. I'll bring it over on the bench. I'll do one, see what I think of it. And I'll bring you back. I'm here going along. Welding up a few holes. See what I can weld up. See what the metal's like to weld. Along the middle here, it is thin. This is all I'm doing. I got my step drill bit here, and I'm just drilling out rust spots that I figures I can probably weld up. And then I got my piece of brass here. I cleaned it up, and I'm putting that behind it, and I'm welding it up. I'm just trying to weld up this lower lip down here, this lower section. I like to get that welded up, so all I got to worry about is this flat section here. I'm going to put a piece right through the middle here, and a piece on this end over here. Over on this end here, I'm going to see if I can actually get away from some of this here. I don't know. I think I'm just going to cut a piece and weld it in along there. Come over here, down here, across like that, and just overlap it. Just do it that way. That's what I got me. But I'd like to get away from this edge here. Just have a flat piece I got to put in it. So I'm going to go weld this up some more and see what kind of a mess I make out of this. But I don't be at. Oh my God. I'm only welding all that up there so I can just put a strip across there. Ah, that's it. This'll be mint when I'm finished. Yeah, okay. Keep dreaming, Tony. Keep dreaming. Anyway, I'm going to grind this up here now. Clean this up and start making up patches for this here. And see how that's going to go. I figured I'd start in the middle. This is that old Crown Vic stuff. I put a bit of a crown on it. Look down across it there. It's a bit of a crown. I just used the old voice right there. Hammered her down into that. To fit that in there. This is going to be a lapped over patch. I'm debating on whether to cut this out of it. I might just take so much of it out of it. Just to get clear of the majority of it. I just don't want to go weak in the panel anymore. It already is. By rights, this panel should never have been repaired, but still, hey, I'm having fun with this here now. It's the determination here now is what this is. Making something out of nothing. Literally out of nothing. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead, trim some of this out, so it's just out of my way, and that'll be less rust to be concerned about. I'll cut it off here. It's going to be a full lap patch. I'm not going to get into cutting and buttoning and all that type of stuff. I'm debating whether I'm going to weld it in solid yet or not. Anyway, I have fun here, I can tell you that. It is rusty as an anchor. This thing is shot. But, I don't know. This is something to be said about a challenge and something. And this thing is a challenge. Because I don't know how long this is going to last. This might last 6 months. Might last a month. But I'll do whatever I can with it to make it last. Anyway, I'm going to go get that piece put in that. Get it trimmed up anyway. Maybe I'll just leave an air dam. This will be for the radiator. That's what this will be for. Cool air getting through there. Yeah, okay, Tony. Weld it up. Look at the back of this. If I'm looking at that. That's mint. I got that removed now. Get clear of that. Let's turn around and get this piece put in there now. Look at that, look, factory. Factory GM. Anyway, I'm gonna try my hand at welding that in there now. See what happens. But this here is how we used to patch cars up years ago. Every half inch with a tack on them, get the patch done really fast, buzz this off with a grinder, fiberglass over the top of it, filler over that. And that was the extent of it. See now the back side of it. It's a lot solider than it was. And I don't know, I might leave it like it is yet. Be interesting. I haven't done that way in a long time. I gotta put a couple more tacks up there. Get them closer together. I'm just gonna leave that just like that for now. And I'm gonna go on and do the same thing here. And the same thing there. Nothing fancy. Another piece of Crown Vic metal. Put a shape to it. That was part of the roll on the door to start off with. We're still up there. The roll, just the old door handle. There's where I started from. This piece of metal here. That roll there, that was this way here. No. And I just tightened it up a bit and trimmed it up and found some decent metal. And down here I grinded off the welds that I had here and then I welded up. So now I got a nice edge there. I haven't got to worry about coming in here with a patch. I'll just keep the patch in the same area as in the middle. I'll get that welded in there now. Just a quick old tack, 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 all the way around. That's it. Straight as there. On the back side there, you see where I welded up the lip earlier. Now what it looks like over here. Ah, that'll be fine for that. You never know, I might come back. Depends what kind of mood I'm in. I might not welding all that in there solid yet. It seemed to weld up pretty decent, so might be half bad. I'm gonna go piece this one together here now. And here you have another patch put in there. Pretty cruel, huh? Got a hole there. I'm worried about that because I got to weld the end on it. I can get that after. But yeah, I'm here sizing it all up now. I've been welding it up. I turned the welder up. It seems to be welding pretty good. What I'm probably going to end up doing here now, I was going to leave these like this, but I can't bring myself to doing it. Something I would have did years ago, but I'm this far into it now. I might as well finish patching everything up. So what I'm going to do now is take some time now and just go in and weld all these in solid. And I don't know how much we're going to warp it up, but still, it's a nice solid piece there now, and should last for a while anyway. I'll go get that all welded up, and then we can start putting them end pieces on it. Well, I was quite amazed with this. I welded an inch, or welded a half inch, skipped a half inch. That's the way I welded all this up. And so I put a fair bit of heat in it. But what I was afraid of welding this up solid is that I was going to start burning holes and everything. I turned up my welder so I get some penetration and everything on it, just to, you know, to say if there's going to be good metal there, it's going to be good metal there. And I'm willing to say 3, maybe 4 places that I like burned through when I had to chase a hole. But the rest of it, just welded up solid. Welded up good. Now, it's not the prettiest welds. This galvanized, or this metal from the Crown Vic, I don't know what it is with it. Where's the tip of the gun to? But if you look there, it constantly fills up the tip of the gun. Just constantly. You can get a splatter spray for that, but now it's the metal itself. Anytime I goes welding up the 18 gauge, or especially the new stuff that I got here for this one here, when I was welding this up, this was perfect. There was no splatter at all from that. But this stuff, boy, oh boy, some splatter. When you can just see by looking at it, right? And the welds are not the prettiest, right? But it's solid. I got it welded up. So I'm gonna go ahead now and get this all grinded up. Well, now, you swear it was all factory. There were indentations that were put in that from factory. Right? The way I got them put in there. as part of the body lines on it, right? Yes, boy. I was totally amazed with that because I grinded that off and went back and touched it up a few more places, and I expected this thing was going to be a nightmare to weld. Scattered pinhole here and there. I don't mind that. But it's solid. I went ahead and I dollied all my edges and got it all straightened up so it looks presentable looking, all that type of stuff. So now I can get ready now to install the ends on it. But yeah, that's that panel there. Like, by rights, that should have been replaced. But right now, between them two end panels and this here, I don't have, I don't know, 6-7 hours maybe, tops, into this whole work. So I'd say once I get it welded together, the ends welded on it, I might have 8 hours into the whole repair, which is not bad, considering I'd say the piece, I say for me to bring one of them in, I'd say is close on $600-700 for sure to bring that in. And it was like hit or miss whether it's going to be cheap or whether it's not going to be, because I got nailed on the door rubbers on the truck. You know, remember when I bought the door rubbers for that? They were $400. They were $146 online, and that was US prices. And then by the time I got to pay the difference in the dollar, shipping on them, and then there was the duties on it, and then there was a tariff fee on them, it was $400. So we have to make do what we got kicking around. It would have been nice if I had something a lot better than this, but hey, I'm tickled to that with that. That's nice and solid there now. I'm going to throw the other fender on the truck there now so I can actually mount them. I'm going to bolt them two pieces on the where they're supposed to go on the fenders. And then I'm just going to clamp that piece in place and see where it lies. So here's where I'm to. I got the fender put back on. I put the upper apron back on it. I put a couple bolts in it just to say I got bolts in it. I got them tightened up there. I measured from the outside of the fender here to the outside of the fender right here. I took a measurement on the original panel earlier and got a measurement of about 76 1/4, 76 1/8. So I set it up so this here will come out, and I got it set up here now. So the distance from here to here is about 76 1/8 on the bottom of the fender, because you can slide them in and out. There's a bit of play in them. I knew that this panel, the original panel, the measurements I had, because I took a bunch of measurements off them, and I added up some numbers, and I come up with 76 1/8. Now I got that there bolted on there. This is what I got done. I just got a clip on the back of it, and I got to put in the factory hole, and I got a bolt put in it and bolt it on. Then I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up in place and just clamp it on to see how close I am. So I just got it laid in place and overlapped and clamped on, sizing it all up, make sure it's centered and whatnot. I'm pleased with that. I had went out and got the bumper, just test fitting the bumper, just to lay it in place to get an idea of where everything's to. A lot of this truck, I'm still figuring things out. I got to make bumper brackets off of this here, where they're going to fall to on the frame rail, and they line right up with the Crown Vic frame rail. So I'm going to have to mount the radiator in this and get all that figured out first before I put the bumper on it, because there's a lower cross member that goes underneath the radiator, and I got to find out where that's going to end up before I can actually make braces for this here, because I was kind of hoping to be on the outside of the frame rail, and I could run the rails out through this way here, but there's indentations here and everything for clearances for the actual frame rails. So I got to follow them, and that's all you can do. So I'm not going to worry about the bumper for now. I'm just going to go ahead now. I'm going to make sure this is centered to the right place. I'm going to mark this here, and I'm going to, I don't know if I'm going to do the cutting butt on them or not, or the cut to fit, like chop them right off and butt weld them. It is thin metal. I like to do a little bit of an overlap there. I might trim off the front of it here and just slide it back. I don't know. Anyway, I'll decide that. I'll get this figured out now and get it marked so I can actually get them welded on. So I got this side here all welded in. Now it's not the prettiest, trying to fit it all in there and stuff like that, and this stuff is still thin. What I did is I went and done the cut to fit on it, and I backside the weld here. You can see I got some spots here that was pretty thin for me, and I had to weld them up and whatever. But I do have it. It is solid there now, and it's all together. Over here, that is all I did is when I had it laid in place, I just scribed it. You see the scribe mark there? I'm going to cut it right off on that there. Bring the other piece over now and put that welding there. I'm going to start on these edges here, welding them, and work my way out to the front, because the front was a little bit off on the other side, and same with the back. The back was too long on the other panel, and then I just grind and dressed that after, and I dollied this edge out here to make it work right. But yeah, so I'll go ahead now and get the other side welded on. And there you go. Don't that look lovely? Look. Absolutely, you'd never notice that was blended into there, or that was blended into there. You don't see that line there. You don't see that line there. No, you don't see that. Or over here. This out here will come up pretty good though. Flip it over and you're like, oh my god. Patch quilt, that's what that is. Neither patch put in it, is it? I'd say it's close on. There's over half of it for sure. Over 50% of that panel has been replaced. But hey, I got 8, maybe 9 hours tops into this. Scrap metal with melt welding wire. And here's my take on it. I was out having fun. This was a challenge. I was laughing at it more than anything else, because I was having fun playing with it, trying to fix it. I never got upset over it or nothing like that, because I can't make it no worse than what it already was, right? And so it's a bit of enjoyment. So I racked those hours up as enjoyment, not labor. Anyway, I gotta go test fit this on her now. I got to figure out some other stuff. I gotta figure out the sides here. I gotta figure out some way to mount this to non-existent lower rad support. So I'll get this mounted up now and we'll start going from there. So I got this here bolted up. The only thing holding this in place now is one bolt there and one bolt there, and this is just floating in the middle. I like to be able to have it so I can bolt it on the back side. Now this originally bolted to the rad support on the bottom side with a lip and it had brackets and everything. To me it's just too complicated to try to duplicate the way it was set up, because this came down, had a lip to come out, step down, had a lip that came out, and then there was a bolt went up through it that held in place. I'm not going to get too complicated with it, because some of the braces are actually gone. I think there's one completely gone and the other one's pretty weak. So I'm thinking about just finding some way of just bolting it on. I have this stuff here. This is, I've been kicking around. This is more that shelving, but this is like corner pieces. And it's like a piece of angle iron is what it is. It's only 18 gauge. But I'm thinking about bending it up and having it so that the bottom of the lip is this way here and it comes up, and I can go across here, step in, go over, bolt on the back side of this as well, take that in, and then come across this way here, come right across here and over to there. Then when I get that fitted in place, I'll have something that this here can actually mount to, because I'll just put tabs on the back of it with a bracket coming out to here, and it'll just bolt straight in. I'll put a bolt there and a bolt here. I don't think I need a lot. I just need enough to hold it up, because on the outside edge, there's little braces that goes from here down. That's these things here. I'm going to redesign them too. I don't think I need all that, because the bumper comes to here. And the bumper covers all this, so I might just come out to, say, here somewhere, and just have a lip going right on down around the bottom side edge, and not have to worry about putting this double curve on it, right? We'll play that. I might even come on a bit of an angle and do an angled one. I just needs enough there so that the when you look at it from the side here, it's covered. When you look at it here behind the bumper. Like this here would go somehow like the other side. When you're looking at this here, this is what you'll see. This type of thing, see? This goes like that. So you see about that much of it on the side. So I got to play around with just simplifying. I don't need that bottom corner, I don't think, right? We'll play around with it anyway. I'll figure something out. But I'm going to make it simple, so I haven't got to spend a lot of time on it. It is a homemade truck, so, but I like to have it semi-looking original type thing, right? So I'm going to go ahead now and get out that piece of angle there now and start figuring out how I'm going to cut that up and bend that in. I'm going to take this panel off. I'm going to go by these holes here that I got this mounted to, and I'm going to take them in. On the rad support is another bolt that'll also bolt this in place as well. And then I got to just figure out some way to mount it across there, and then I can just run steel from there down to the angle iron, and it'll be done. So here's my idea. I got this clamped in place here now, and the lip is facing downwards. That will be the bottom. This will come over here. I'll make a split here, fold this way, fold this way here, and you can see here This here, I want to have this so this lays back here behind, and I can drill a hole through here and I can bolt down there, and then I'll just weld from here up to this here, join all this together here, and then I got a bottom in it, and I also got a place here with a bit of strength to it that I can actually bolt the actual valance to. Same with over here. A few quick bends. It's nice and long, it's simple, it's straightforward. Then I got a bottom in the rad support itself. So I'm gonna go ahead now and start trimming this up, getting it all bent up, and get it so that I can get a fit in behind that there. So here's what I got done. You can see I got the bends put in them. I just split the pieces on the bottom and bent them around like that, so I can actually get them to fit across there. Now I got an actual bottom in the rad support, and you can see I took in the outer hole. I can bolt it on there, and I can bolt it on there. I just got it roughed in place just to see what was involved in it. I'm going to weld it on here. Just going to do a lap weld on it. That's all I was going to do. Weld them lips up on the bottom side. And then I'm going to start piecing this in over to here. I'll take the rad support off and weld all that up there. This way now I got a complete rad support done, and I can actually, when I go to bolt this on, I can make tabs off of this here, brackets that I can actually bolt on to the valance to keep it from moving up and down, to give it a bit of support. I might even run a piece of pipe or something across there just so it just lays there. I don't know. I got to figure something out on that. I'm just trying to simplify this. I'm not getting too in depth in it, making it fancy, because by the time all this is done and everything's bolted on the front of this, you won't see none of it, and it was all rusted out to start with anyway. So I'm just building with what I have around here and just keeping it simple. That's it. So I'm gonna go take this off here now, clean all this up, get this all ready, and start welding it all on. This is all I got done. I took some measurements. I have a dozen measurements to make sure this is the same location here, 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 and here. So I got that all done. I can mark them for drilling the holes. I'm going to start filling in these sections here now. I can actually weld up. I got to do some trickery in here because I want to take this here in to come down the side here. So I'll work on that. I'll get something tack welded in place there that I can actually work with. Then I can start piecing this all back together. I'm not getting fussy with this. I'm just doing a lap patch on it, getting it done. Now, there's nothing fancy about that. All it is, I went up and I cut it off because this used to turn around and go this way, this belt line, and I got it so it tapers off now out to the bottom here, and also comes down and tapers off out to the bottom right here as well. So I'm gonna, before I digs in anything else, I got this welded up down here as well. So that's nice and solid. Before I goes in and do the other side, I'm gonna have to grind all this here. Now I'm gonna have to weld the back side of this as well. Plus over here I got some dressing up to do on the end. There's a little lip going all the way down. I'm going to continue on with all that entire lip, but I have lots of material in there to go out through there. So I'm going to not get too far ahead of myself and get this all ground up. Brand new. Factory. It's all grinded up there now. All I got to do is when I takes it off, I got to straighten this edge over here, and I got to weld the back side of it, and then grind off the bottom down here, clean that up. But before I get into that, I'm going to continue on and get this side all patched up the same way I got this one done. And that's this side completed. Same process as the other one. Got it all welded up on the bottom down there. Now I gotta do some work over here, and I gotta weld all the inside of this as well. I'm not gonna worry about that right now. All I'm going to do is I'm gonna bolt that valance on and get everything finished up on that front valance first. Before I go blowing everything apart, because I still got to do the inner fender well in this, and I just don't want to go taking it apart right now. So I'm going to bolt the valance on it now. We got to make these side pieces, and we got to get 2 braces here, and then that whole setup will be done. So I got the valance all bolted back on, and I'm here now making up brackets. This is what I made up here, what I came up with. I want to be able to have this so this is welded on to this here, much the same as the other ones were, but I wanted it so it bolted onto here. I didn't want to go fool around making brackets off of this. I want to make a part of this here. I got one made right here. If you can see up underneath it there the way it's done. And I just got a brace on one side for now. I might box the other side in as well. But I needed that to give it strength so it actually wouldn't bend on me. I'm still getting a bit of flex back here. I don't know if I got to trim this out for the radiator and everything in this yet. But I like to build a reinforcement back here for everything to strength, because this is just slight 18 gauge, and I figured to build some sort of structure back here to mount to it. When I bolt it on, it'll have some strength to it, right? But the biggest thing now I've been at here the last little while is I've been measuring from here to here on the front nose, and I've been using like the edge of the fender right here, to the outer edge here. And it's about 16¼ inches. And I've been just coming across and making sure that everything is 16¼ inches all the way across. It's a bit tricky because this thing is up and down like a dog's stomach, right? It's been through war and back, but I'm getting it there. All this over the side here is best kind. That's the height it's got to be. And I got that all figured out, so I'm pleased with that. I just got to get this here figured out now and probably mount that right there. Mount that like that, right there. And I figured I'm just going to a couple of spot welds here, a couple of spot welds here. I have a lip on the front of it, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to spot weld across the top here. Not be too concerned with it. And that will be pretty well it for that to be mounted. Then all I got to do now is I got to make 2 pieces for here. I got to size up the bumper. But I'll get all that mounted first. And then I'll work on that here. As you can see, I got a side put on that there. And that's what's giving it strength. All I did is I went in there and I bent up this flat piece of steel. And I just kept tweaking it till I got it where I wanted it. Then when I got it where I wanted to, I just come over here and I laid it on the piece of steel like that. And then tack weld it on and I cut it off. I'm going to do the same thing here now for the other side. I'm going to lay that there like so. And give this lots of strength and tack weld that on there. And I can cut it off, go for a quick test fit. And then what I'm going to do is run a couple of beads on this here. I don't need to fully solid weld that up. It's only a brace. And get them, both of them, that one and the other one. Get 2 sides. So I was going to leave it alone, leave one on it, but I said, no, so I might as well just reinforce it. I got this little piece of steel here, so it won't take very long now to cut out a few pieces and weld them on. This is all I do. I don't overthink this. I don't go around making templates. And I got that welded on there now. I'll take the grinder and I'll grind that all off there. And then that one's done. Again, all I used was the 2 grinders. Here you go. Nice little bracket. I'll go over now and I'll put a few more beads and everything on that there. Just run like, I'll probably connect a few of these together. And that'll be the extent of it. I don't need to solid weld that. And I won't do nothing with the outside of it. I'm going to plug weld onto here and plug weld onto here. And that'll be the bracket. And I'll drill a hole in the back side here and that'll bolt onto the truck. And this will be permanently mounted onto the actual bracket itself. There they are. 2 of them all welded up. That's good enough. Every inch or so. That'd be best kind. I got to clean up the outside of these here now. There is a difference in the 2 of these. One is for the left, one's for the right. So I had to mark them. I marked one of them there. Mark. This one here. So this goes this way here, and that goes that way there. I had to, when I bent them up originally, I tried to put this one over on this side here, and I had to tweak it a bit in order to get it. So when you put 2 of these side by side, there is a slight difference in them, mainly on the back side, back here. You can see there's a little bit of a tweak difference in the back of them. Not a lot, but enough to make a difference. So I'll get them cleaned up now and get them put in position and get them installed. To make life a lot easier, I just got a nut with a bolt on the back side of it. Drill a hole down through there. You see I got a spot down there. That'll bolt on there on the back side. It'll be just, all I got to do is put a nut in it, tighten it up. And I got some spot welds here now. I'm going to bolt this up and then weld it on. And then that's permanently done. So I got 2 of them done. I got to grind them off now and they're done. Underneath the bottom side of this here, there's brackets to the original ones they mounted on. I don't even know if I'm going to bother to take them off. I might just leave them there. They serve no purpose, but they keep everything rigid. So I'm going to leave them alone. And because one was completely gone, and I think there's another one over here that's really weak. I'm not going to worry about them. But that's that makes that really solid. Right? That's solid enough for that. I would like to reinforce the back of this, but I got to figure out radiator stuff. We'll go over that later. I'm going to get them cleaned up now and get started on these side pieces here. Well, I've been playing around here now. Look at the contraption I got rigged up here. Been trying to mount this bumper where I think it should be to get an idea how everything's going to fit. After looking on the internet and seeing that, I noticed that the way the centers are in them, they overlap more in the center than they do on the sides. It's not a very nice feature for sure because the bumper's flat but the valance is curved. right? I wanted to see how much of this here on the side I actually see. You see this hole right here? Like, do I need to make all that curvature on the bottom, or can I just go straight forward with it and go around the front and call it a day? Just so I got something there and I can trim it to fit the bumper after the fact. Because this is what I'm looking at now. I'm just trying to simplify them side pieces to get an idea of where they're going to go. When I mean the side pieces, these pieces here, like, I can sit down and fight with this all I want, but do I need to put this curvature down the bottom corner? And do I need to go right around the corner on the front? And according to this, I don't, see? I go right out to the front. All I need is enough to cover that there. That much of that there, which is basically about to here somewhere. And then I'll probably go out to the corner here. Drop that on the floor. Lay that down, honey. I'll probably go out to the corner here. And just go straight down and straight back like that. That's probably my plan. It's only a quick fix. I don't want to get into details of trying to make this perfect and factory. I just want to fill up that gap right there. That's it. I might end up changing all this. I like tucking bumpers on trucks, and this here, it is what it is now. I got all this work done on it, so I'm going to make it work. But look at the contraption. 2 jack stands. I had them there first. All I'm doing is holding them in from swinging the bottom out. That's all they're doing. They're not even underneath it. They're keeping it from swinging this way, and I just used 2 of the hooks on the license plate and a couple of ratchets and just kept playing around with it. Had to flatten the tires on the front of it to get the front of it to sit level. Oh my, all that just to get an idea of what I got to do here. So now that I have an idea what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead now and start making the 2 sections that will mount on the actual flanges itself. And I can just turn around and just flat piece of steel, mount it in place, then shape it with a grinder. That's all I'm going to do with that there. So I'll get this bumper out of the way here now and we'll get started on them. I'm not overthinking it here. I had this piece of metal that was on a 90 here, and I cut one side of it off. I measured up the length of it, not worried about how wide it is. And then I figured I need at least 6.5 inches or 6 inches going down on the bottom. And I just bent the 90 in it. And I've been tweaking it there now to actually get to fit the truck. I'm not getting carried away with it. I want it nice and wide. I want to be able to take this now, mark this, and trim this up so it'll actually fit in the side. I want to take the bottom and the top in all in one piece of metal. This is all I got done. I made sure that the distance from here to here is the distance that I wanted. This here has a small bit of an angle. It's not perfectly on a 90. And then I just clamped this in place, so it just rested on this here and let it fall wherever it wanted to. And I just brought this corner in as far close as I can. I'll mark this here now. I mark this down here and trim that all off. And that'll be my mounting flange then. And like all I gotta do is make a piece now to mount over the side of that. I might come around the front here a bit more and have it so that it goes down around there. And I might just trim it off on a round edge here. I don't want to go getting too into it, trying to curve this edge. I might play around with it a bit, probably might roll the edge a small bit, but I'm not getting carried away with it. I know that I only needs about this much of it here going straight down through here that I actually need, but we'll see what we can come up with here now. So I'll go ahead now and get this marked and get that trimmed up so that's ready to fit there and down there. Not fancy there. All it is, I clamped it in place, and I come over here then with the grinder and the 24, and I just touched it up across here and down across here. You can see where I struck it there. So I got a nice edge on there. Now I'm going to find a piece of metal. I'm going to just lay on over that. It's going to overlap here. It's going to overlap here. I'll see if I can get it to roughly shape it where I want it to shape, and I'll lay it in place there. I'll tack weld it on from the inside here, so that way I got the actual shape that I'm after, and I can trim all this off after the fact. A lot of times building panels like this here, it's a lot easier if you got the truck to go by, because you're using this as your actual buck. And you're going to lay a piece of metal on over here, and then just shape it and shape it. Tack weld, tack weld, tack weld, tack weld. Take it off, you got a panel. So I'll go get that. I think I'm going to use this here is 18 gauge, but I think I'm going to use the Crown Vic metal here. I got some over there on the hood. I might get a big enough piece out of it, so I'll cut that out and make it for there. So I got a piece cut out from the actual hood over there. Got a section off the back corner over there. And now I'm going to get this cleaned up and start fitting it. Here's what I got done. I got it overlapped here, clamped down here. And I got it bent up enough that it will flow down around the back side. I can get most of this tacked on in here now. On the inside down through there. that I can actually start getting the shape. Out here I'll work it, and down here I'll work it. But as long as I got this up section right here looking good, the rest of it is just a matter of figuring out. I don't know what I'm going to do down here yet, because when I rolls this way and rolls this way, she fights with herself down here in this corner. But for now, I'm just going to weld it on here and weld it on here. Worry about that later. So I'll get the welder now and get that tack welded in place. That's all I did. A few tacks on that, hauled it all in place. Now I can take it off. This is what you're up against. This is what you got done. What I'll do now is I'm going to go in there now and start welding all this up in here and get that all welded up. Not going to worry about the ends yet. I'll get this trimmed off out here and get it to where I'm happy that this section here fits nice back on the truck again. And then I'll start working these ends. So I got it all welded up inside. I welded it just to the point where it starts to separate on both ends, see? Then I come over here and only cut off what I got welded. So now I can actually see what the actual shape is starting to come like. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start finishing this off here. I'm going to roll the bottom up because I know this is going to interfere with this one here. And I'm going to roll this up and get this here to fit nice here because I know this section of the truck is crucial to see. Not so much up here. I just got to roll around. I'm pretty sure I'm right to the spot where I got to be now, but I'm going to continue on rolling around here. I say this panel is probably going to end up being cut sort of like this, so I can actually roll this panel. That's what I'll end up doing. I'm not going to worry about putting a roll in the edge of it. I just want to make something there, because I might end up changing this later on, because I might want to tuck the bumpers on the front of this. I don't know. But for now, let's get this here. All I'm going to do is clamp this in place here. And I'm just going to hold that there, roll it up around there, weld it on. That's all I'm going to do. So here's what we're left with. I turn around and roll up the edges here, welded it here, come over here and had to roll here. In order to that, I had to cut the corner off down here to cut it off. I already did this and I never had the camera turned on, so now I got to do it all again. And I've after doing work since then. But this is what I had to do. I had to weld it up there, weld it there, then cut off the metal and then just grind it off. I'm going to re-weld all this up here. Down here, this was very flat, where this was rolled this way, this was rolled this way. What I ended up doing is taking the bottle, laying that over the top of that there, and hammering it around. First thing I did is I took my ball peen hammer and just laid it on the bench there and struck it like that a half a dozen times in that area to stretch it. I also tapped it in here, flat on the table, to stretch it. Anytime you bang a hammer directly onto another object, like hammer on dolly type things, you're stretching the metal. And I wanted to stretch this here, and all I did is I used the top of the bench and I just hit it like that on top of the bench in a half dozen spots around that area there, so I could stretch that area along here just to get a bit of a crown here, because if you look at it now, there's a small bit of a crown there. Now I got this here rolled off. I've been comparing it to this one. There's the original one there. Now, this here rolls around the front. I'm not worried about rolling right around to the front. But I do notice this comes back on an angle, and I got this straight down. So I'm going to bring this over on a bit more of an angle this way here. So the distance from here to here is roughly the same as here. And that's where I'll leave it. And then I'll go over and I'll test fit that, make sure it's all right. I'll weld up along here. And grind dress that lip. I got to cut off this back lip here, going down through here, and drill a few holes right here. This here will be welded on to the valance itself, the way this one was. You can see the way this one here was a one-piece unit. It was welded on the back side. I'll do the same thing there. So I'll go ahead now and dolly this some more, dress it all up, get this welded up, and we'll come back and see what we're left, see what we got here. Haven't touched on it in a while. You can see where I welded it all up. All I do is I grind it flat on one end. You see right here? I got it grinded flat there now, but this side here has to be grinded flat. Up here you can see it. I grind it flat here, and I grind it flat here, and I'm left with a sharp edge. Now I can see my shape on that sharp edge. So if that's up and down or anything, if that's up and down going along there, you'll see it in that line. So when I got a nice crisp line going around there and I rolls it off, I got a nice edge. I'll go finish this up. There it is, all completed. Nice rolled edge on it now. Going up along there, going along there, around the front. I trimmed this off here and here. You can get fancy and make it look like this one, with the cut edges and all that type of stuff. Oh, I'm not bothering with that. I'm just going to turn around and have that so I can clamp that in place there now. Mark a few holes and bolt it on. Up here, I'll put a few holes in it, weld it onto the top piece, and that will be it. You can see now, like I got all the bottom here is pretty well the same. It's just the front here. Now, if you want to, you can weld onto the front of it and roll around in front some more, like this here. Oh, I'm not bothering with that. This is good enough for me. I just wants to fill in the gap on the side where the bumper wraps around, that's all. And this will be perfect. That there took me about an hour and a half, including filming, to make that. So I'm going to go blow through the other side now, get the other side made, see how long it actually takes me to make it with no camera interruptions. I'll test fit that first. Now that don't look half bad. Coming down along there, stand back, look at it. Look at the seams. It's a nice gap. I'll leave that seam there along there. On the front. Looking down at it this way here. You swear that was factory. Anyway, I'll get the other side made. And there you have the second one. 45 minutes. Start to finish. Just using all recycled metal. Simple techniques. Never got carried away with it. Double crown panel and everything. Look at that crown on that. All done on that here. With a ball peen. And a body hammer. That grinder. And that grinder. And the welder. Because all this took me to make them panels there. I'm going to go over and fit two of them on her now and see what they looks like. Well, would you look at that? Factory. They got to be welded on. I just got them clamped in place. They got to be welded on across top here. I'm not going to worry about them right now because I'll haul all this apart. Same with this one here. That was laid in place. Two of them are done. It was a lot of undertaking. There was nothing on this entire corner. Nothing at all. These pieces here is what I had. Look. There's what I started with. And that's what I ended up with. But like, you know, it's a lot of work to that front valance. There was, you know, I've been looking around. You're not going to find anything like that here. When you see them in the woods, that's usually non-existent because it's just filled up with all kinds of debris because the grill mounts above it. And it was the bumpers there, so that'd just fill up across there and just rot right out. And all of them were the same way. They all rotted out. But I got that done. All the rad supporters done. I got to weld the back side of that still. Get that straightened away. I got the mounts made for down here. I still got to do some reinforcement here. But that's what I want to talk about now is the other things I got left to do. A lot of people have been asking, you know, wondering where I'm to with this build. Everybody keeps wondering about the box. Here's my plan. My plan is I want to finish everything here. The entire cab forward, everything, all the fabrication done. Why? Because what I want to do then is I want to take it all, blow it all apart and everything, and I want to do body work on it, quick body work, nothing fancy, and get all this in primer and paint it. I want to paint all this stuff here black, satin black. I'm not doing nothing much with it. I don't even know if I'm going to prime it. I just might bail some trim clad on it because that can go right over bare metal and everything, and I might just do that, or I might spray some epoxy or something. I'm not going to spend no money on it, I can tell you that. But I want to get all this done because I want to start being able to get the running gear and everything back in it, and get the wiring back in it, and get the interior back in it, and get all that done. I don't want to have to, you know, put stuff together, take it apart again, and fix stuff. I want to get this much of it done, all this here done, and then I'm going to turn around and start on the bodywork. I could probably start picking at the box and everything then. But once I get this done, all this here done, I could start putting the motor and transmission in it, put the wiring back in it, and figure things out. I still haven't figured out no brakes or nothing on this yet, what I need and stuff like that. And like the interior is, you know, it is what it is. So I'm not going to be too over concerned. I'd like to paint inside the cab. I might even do that. I want to get this here painted. There's something else I got to do. I got to put on the list. I got to mount visors. I got to drill holes for the visors and get them mounted. And but I like to at least this here get painted in here. Put some color or something on this here and have this done. That way when I put it all back together, I haven't got to worry about the interior in the truck no more. Like I'm thinking about, you know, I do have some red here that I can spray on this, and I'll probably just clear over it. But the only reason why I'm going to paint is because of this up here. I might just paint this section here yet, I don't know. But I want to paint down here, this section of the dash. I want to get this finished and get this done, because when I put the windshield in it, I'll never be able to get at it again. I want to finish this and paint this here. So over on my list here, this is what I got left to do on the cab. I got to do the inner fender well on the passenger side, and all the modification that's involved with that, and get that done. I got to mount the rad and condenser. The reason for that is I got to figure out, I know from watching guys online, these holes right here, okay, these are my reference points. I heard guys talking about moving it back 2 inches. So basically from here to here, I can move everything back. So I got to keep an eye on that, but I got to make sure that I got room up here. I see some guys having to cut this stuff off and all this type of stuff. But I'm going to keep a measurement down. I know this is it here, so I'll be going according to this hole here, and I got to move it back. I do have a lower brace too that goes across that I got to put on. Now the radiators in the Crown Vic were mounted on an angle. I'm going to straighten them up. I'm going to put the radiator straight in it. But that's the whole thing, because this is a modification got to be done. And the reason why I got to do this is because I got to find out if I got to cut this up. If I got to cut any more of that up, so I can brace this up here on the back side, this here. And I also got to figure out where the radiator's going, because that lower cross member goes across here. And I got to figure out a way to mount the bumper, make a bumper bracket to go in through there to go up to take into the frame. So I got to figure that out. That's another thing. Where's the two? Mount bumper, right? But I got the rad condenser, the hood hinges. I got one hinge that the pin is gone, and of course they were seized up, and I got to get that straightened away. Get them figured out where they got to go, and weld the brackets on so I can actually remove the hood and put it back on again. Of course, mount the hood. Seat mounts. I got to make a couple of seat mounts so I can actually get the seats done. I haven't got to worry about that. Seat belt mounting bolts. I'm putting lap or shoulder harness bolts in it, so I got to weld a bracket to the post here in this section of the truck right here. I got to weld something up here so I can actually put a lap belt in it and mount the belt on the bottom. I'm pretty sure the lap belt will mount in the factory location on the bottom from the Crown Vic. I just got to build an upper mount. We'll size that up when it comes to it anyway, right? Because I think, no, it won't, because it mounted on the doorpost in the Crown Vic. Yes, there's the mounting bolt for the lower one there, so I got to build a bracketry like this here. And you can see the way that there's not a lot to the seatbelt mounts itself on these here. There's the upper ones up there. I don't know if I'm going to bother with that slippy thing. I mightn't even bother with that. I might just drill one hole up there and be done with it and just make it simple. But this one here, so now I know, so I got to build a bracket on the bottom side so I can mount the bottom hole as well. So yeah, an upper and lower seatbelt mounts. Yeah, and that's seatbelt mounts. I got to weld up the back of the rad support, because I got where I put them pieces and everything. All that got to be done, but when I take the rad support off, I'll do that. But before I do that, I want to do this. I want to get the inner fender well mounted. And then, of course, then I got to mount the bumper. And the big thing for me is a grill. I don't have a grill. So I have a line I want to nose with this 1-2 stood up in the shed, and I'm hoping I can weasel it out of them. I'll work on a grill. But it'd be nice to have a grill that I can actually mount in and make sure I got it all done right. But this here is the list of stuff that I want to get done. This will finish the cab. There's one more I already said, I think it was, that I had said, sun visors. I got to mount sun visors on this list. But once I get this stuff done, then I'm on the body work. All that's left then to do is the box itself, but I want to get the cab done. So the next videos after this is the stuff. There's might be some repeat stuff. I'm going to just move ahead with it, get it done. Inner fender well is next. I got to weld these brackets on down here, so I can probably take this off and weld that on, but this is done. That's ready to go. All that's bolted on there. Like I said, the rad support here, that type of stuff. Oh yes, I got the hood hinges, or the hood latch hinges. Add that to the list too. Okay, I've realized now the bolts on here and here, and the grill is what holds the supports it in place. It's just two little bars that comes from here to here. It's unusual, I can tell you that. There's like that there is all your support to close the hood down. But that's the way they came. That's the way it's going back. I just got to put some mounting holes here, something for the actual. I might make a plating system here to make it nice and strong, because I can see there's a lot of pull on this here, and that's the reason why they broke. So I'll probably make a plating system that I'll put in here and weld nuts on the back side of it so I can just bolt it on, and that's it. Yeah, but anyway, there's where we're to with all this. It was a lot of work to getting all this done. That was a big undertaking. I'm moving forward with it now. I got a lot of issues figured out. I got the bumper now and the radiator is the biggest thing I got to figure out. Everything else is just put it together and modified. It's just figuring things out. But anyway, that's where we're going to leave this one. I hope the tips were good. Until next time.